Welcome back to my armor making workshop. Today we're going to start making a full suit of armor from the ground up, starting with the feet. This is called a Sabaton. This is a sample I made about 10 years ago. It's based on Italian style dating to around mid-16th century, let's say 1550. It's made out of 9 pieces. It has to articulate really well to give full movement. And so I'm going to go draw out the patterns on a sheet of steel and let's get started. Okay, here's the patterns for this particular Sabaton. It says new, which is kind of funny because I last updated it in 2014. Some of these old patterns I've had for 30 years, but I keep updating them. I just kind of keep tweaking them, making them a little bit better each time. So I'll just lay these out on the steel, the most efficient way I can, draw them out, and then cut them out with the Beverly shears. Okay, now that they're all drawn out here, I'm going to cut down to a more manageable size. This is 20 gauge steel, so it's not too hard to cut. Try to be as efficient as I can while I'm at it. Okay, at this stage I try to drill out most of the holes while it's one big piece so it's easier to manage. I did a pilot hole on them for now, but I'm drilling them out to 1/8 inch holes because I'm going to be using 1/8 inch brass rivets. So. Okay, at this stage I cut them down to more smaller pieces to start doing the detail cutting. Very time consuming. Necessary part of making armor. Yeah, so I try to do as close of a cut as I can, but if there's always final grinding with these pieces, so I'm not too worried. I guess the main thing to remember is to undercut rather than overcut, because you can always grind off excess. It's pretty close. I always try to cut it down to more manageable pieces. Okay, as you can see, I cut them down to more manageable sizes. So now I got to do all the detail cutting by hand. So again, you know, you don't want to overcut, so I just follow the lines as best I can. I've tried these patterns quite a few times over the years, so I know that they're probably pretty close, but there's always tweaking to do once we start putting them together, but I'll show you the nuances for that. But we get them cut out like this, then I'll flatten them, and then I'll do some grinding. So that's the next stage. Now that all the pieces are cut out, what I do is I flatten them out before I start grinding them. That way it's easier to grind properly. Okay, now that I've cut them all out and pre-drilled the holes, I'm going to grind the edges. So this is where it gets dusty, and I got to wear some eye protection for that. But yeah, so we're gonna clean them up, clean up all the edges with this flap sanding wheel here. Alright, so starting with the Sabaton tip, I marked some spots here where I need to really stretch it out, especially at the very tip here. So I start out with just hammering it softly. Kind of warming it up to how much stretching I'm going to be. So as you can see, I got a series of divots in my wood stump. This is kind of a shallow one, gets a little bit deeper, gets deeper. And then there's different divots that I can get some really good stretching in. So then I'll go to this one here, to this stage, then to this stage here. I have another specialized hammer for that. It's a little deeper. Starting to really stretch, but I'm going to have to really stretch it out here. So I'm going to use the peen part on this hammer here in this divot. Kind of see how it's taking shape now, because as I stretch the metal out, it also kind of shrinks the edge too. So from here, I'm going to go through two more series of stretches, but I've got to take all these crinkles out, so I'm going to do that on the anvil first. Okay, here we are, and we got to take these wrinkles out of here. So again, we make sure it's a smooth hammer, and definitely a smooth surface. This is my planishing anvil. It's very specific for planishing. Okay, so it's starting to take shape. This is first pass. Then I go back to my divot in the wood stump, stretch it even more, so I go back and forth. Okay, so as I keep stretching it more, it takes about three stretches to get it right. It's getting better all the time. Again, it's all about the planishing. It really is. This is what really makes the project move forward. Kind of see it's got a great little cup going on here. So it's pretty close to the right shape. But again, I think we're going to have to bring it out even more. So we go back and forth from the wood stump to the anvil. Now we're at a stage where we're just doing the final planishing. And we want to compare it to the one we're doing. Okay, see, it's pretty close. And then we'll do this crease later. So continue to smooth it out. Basically to the point where there's no grinding needed hardly at all. Really subtle. And you can also tell how well the pattern's working because it's pretty much flush at the bottom here as well. So that's why you see historically all the hammer marks on the inside. It's just from a lot of planishing. It's planishing hammer marks is what it is. It's really close. As a matter of fact, we might just sort of start assembling it from here because we're going to build the Sabaton from the tip back. And then we'll do final planishing once it's all put together. And then we'll disassemble it, rebuild it again, and put the finishing rivets in it. So, using my multi-purpose anvil here, I also have different size pipes that I use to help shape pieces. In this case, I want to bend these lames, these Sabaton lames, and to start curving them to take shape. So I use a rubber mallet because I don't want to scar the outside of the steel. But I start hammering them in place. Like this, you can kind of see how they go in series. And so I start taking them one by one, start adding them from the tip back, because I'm going to start building this Sabaton from the tip forward, the tip backwards. So I'll start marking the holes and doing a temporary rivet and just keep building them until it's all put together temporarily. So at this stage here, we're adding all these lames from the tip backwards here, one at a time, and you want to make sure that it doesn't pop out is kind of the idea. How you line them up is you work from one side, and I'm using little nuts and bolts here. It's the most efficient way that I've found, because you gotta be able to take things apart easily and reassemble them. So yeah, I would mark it with a felt pen in this case, little Sharpie. Drill out that hole on that one side first. Don't do both at the same time. Then once you know that's in position, you know they're lining up, you want kind of an even distance here between all the lames, and then you'd mark that, drill that out again. So yeah, it starts coming together like this. Even now, this is a temporary build, because sometimes, well, not sometimes, it's almost always, you end up making small little mistakes. You want to be able to take it apart and fix it, because you definitely want to have good function. And yeah, the main thing is you don't want any of these to pop out. So then you got the center part here. We're at this stage here. Again, everything has to be built at least once or twice first before you do a finish building, putting your final rivets in at the end. So yeah, screw that in place. I've marked that. Mark this hole here. As you can see, the little felt pen here. And then bolt that together. And yeah, sometimes if I make a mistake, the hole's really far off, I just end up welding it and then have to remark it and re-drill it out. So we're almost about halfway through then. Starting to add these front, it's like divided into 4 lames here and then 4 at the back. So also for this particular model, what you want to do is try to line up the rivets all in a row as even as possible. You can see with this older model here, it was kind of crooked. I was still learning, you know, and sort of tweaking that model. But so now on this newest version, we're going to try to get it so all these line up in a straight line here. That's kind of what we're shooting for. Okay, I'm going to temporarily pull that in place. So again, I'm just sort of adding them one at a time. I do one side, and generally to hold it in place, what I do is I use vice grips to hold it in place, and then I'll mark it. Again, I'll probably use a temporary bolt and nut here once you've drilled it out before I mark the hole here. So that's kind of where we're at. We should have this temporarily built soon, and then we can do the center crease. So we're at the stage now where we're going to make the center crease here so they match. Everything else is working out fine so far. So how we're going to do that is we marked it at the top here and at the bottom. So we're just going to make a line, draw a straight line between the two of them. Usually I use a ruler to make sure it's pretty straight, but no matter what, we get plenty of time to make any corrections. So what I've done is I've made myself a creasing board, is what I call it. This one's made out of plywood. I've got different versions of it, but basically it's like you basically cut a groove in here, so that way whenever which we use a lot, we'll end up chiseling these creases as using this wooden piece as a guide. So the chisel that I make is specially made. It's like we don't want it to be too sharp, and it's got kind of rounded edges. But basically, you just take your time and do one hit at a time. kind of see how it's starting to take form here. The reason why we're doing it while all the pieces are together is because that way we know for sure that they're going to all line up when we do the finishing touches to it. So again, just got to keep chiseling this. Just go end to end on them. Basically, I always work on wood because that way it doesn't scar any of your final armor pieces. Yeah, so this is the first run through. So from here, what we'll do is, because these are just put on here temporarily, we can take them off and then we're going to define them more one at a time. So, and then when we do the final build, which I'll take you through that, we'll put the brass rivets in it and then do the final cleanup working from the outside as well. So that's kind of the stage we're at right now. Alright, so we got these looking pretty close, pretty similar, and we did the initial chisel out on the inside, marked it, and we just gave it a basic creasing here with the chisel to start it, but we'll be finishing it from the outside. So at this point we can start taking these apart again. Now we know it worked out good. Actually, I kind of did a pretty decent job on this one. I made sure as much as I could that these were all pretty much in a straight line on both sides. So now we have to take each piece off individually and basically define this crease. And how we're going to do that is we're going to work from we'll do the final planishing on the inside, clean them up, but also we'll start working on the outside to just define this center crease here. So I've made a special jig for that. I've got lots of different jigs I had to make myself. But yeah, this goes into kind of the hardy hole of an anvil. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this on top of it and chisel each piece from the outside with a really flat, basically it's a body hammer. So we'll be hitting that. So that's where we're going to be heading next. Now that we've disassembled all the pieces individually here, as you can see, we've got our marks to work with here. I'm going to put my special jig here in this hole, and then yeah, we're just kind of line them up as best we can here, and then we start working from the outside, defining that chisel mark here. Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that this surface is really smooth, so so it doesn't leave any permanent marks on our steel project here. So. There, as you can see, that defines it really well. So we do that basically with all the pieces. The only tricky one really here is the Sabaton tip, because what it is, we want it to be more defined at the end, but then we want it to fade out near the tip here. So. Like that. It's kind of a subtle, just sort of fades out. And then when we do our final cleanup with sanding, yeah, it should basically blend in really smoothly. So yeah, it's looking good. So we have to do that for each individual part. And luckily they're sort of marked. I've got the number still, I think, on the back. And then we'll start assembly. So as soon as I finish this, we'll go on to finish making them by adding the rivets to them and start doing its final assembly. Okay, so now we're at the stage of assembly. Got all of our pieces creased and ready. I kind of put them in order so that way I can put them together. What I use to put these together are, in this case, it's not always the same because I use different size of rivets, but generally the one I use the most is the 1/8 inch brass rivets. As usual, these are, they have to be specially ordered. There's different places that make them. You can get them in different sizes, but you have to go to a rivet company and probably order online or something. But yeah, so these are classic size for me for the most part. And then I have to specially order the steel washers as well, because again, this isn't stuff you can just readily buy at a regular hardware store or something. So, so this is what I use. And as far as a jig, what I've made is a special rivet set jig. You can kind of see here. These are the 3 main sizes that I use. The mostly used one is the right head size for the 1/8 inch size, and I got the mid size and a large size rivet set. Yeah, these hold the rivet heads in place. Not only does it help you to keep steady your project, but it also doesn't flatten these rivet heads because you still want them to be nice and round. So we'll start off with the Sabaton tip like this, and yeah, put them through. Put a washer in there, and there's different type of riveting techniques that you want to use. What it is you don't want to flatten it out because you still want movement. So this is going to be an articulated rivet. So we mostly want to concentrate on working on the outside, so it'll stop it from the washer from popping off. Is kind of the idea. But you don't want to tighten it too much. You still want it to move fairly easily. So, and as you can see by now, armor is definitely time consuming. So I try to speed up these processes so they don't take as long as they normally do. But they take a while, and also take a lot of patience. So as you can see, I'm sort of going around the washer here because I don't want to go hit it in the center. It'll expand the rivet too much and stop the movement. But we want good movement. So here we go. It's going to take a while to get this done. Oops. But this is part of making armor. Like I said, it's time consuming. And then once we're finished, we could still do some final shaping. I'm going to probably end up redefining the center line here, this bridge. Yeah, I'll put it on that jig again and make sure everything lines up. And then we'll do the final smoothing with sanding. So I'll be going to that stage next once I've finished putting this together. Alright, so we're at the final stages here. We finished assembling all the parts, riveting them together with the brass rivets. And here's the original version we're trying to copy. And here's our version. They look pretty close. I did a good job of making sure all these are in a pretty straight line. And it functions really well. So okay, so we're at a really good spot here. We're finished assembling the Sabaton, as you can see. We put the final brass rivets in it. So we're going to do final cleanup here. It's not a lot of grinding to do or sanding, but so we're going to start off with, I've got a flat sanding wheel here. It's a 120 grit. Start off with that, and I'll just do some rough spots here, smooth them out. Then I move on to a less abrasive wheel here, and this will kind of do the final cleanup for me. So yeah, you get the idea. The more time you spend on it, the nicer it's going to look. So now we're finished. The two Sabatons. We'll use this old model here to build the other leg as well, so we'll get a good use out of it.